everybody, Ben Woodruff here with another Falconry video. Today's video, I'm going to be talking about food and what on earth we should be feeding our birds. I have to say though, this is going to stir up a lot of comments, so please, if you have thoughts and expertise, share your comments as always, but please be respectful of other people, because I know this topic is going to come up with a lot of polarizing comments down below. But again, I enjoy the concept of people sharing ideas, sharing what works for them, but let's do it respectfully and keep Falconry as a positive community that keeps people together. So let's talk about food. First, we got to look at these birds as wild animals. And I say that because remember, with my videos, when I'm kind of doing how-to or sharing what I do, I know there's a million ways to do things in falconry. I'm trying to share principles. So I will share what I do, what I feed, but I do want to say I'm trying to share the principles. So let's look at the principles. In the wild, raptors are predators, right? They're predatory animals. They eat meat. They eat other animals or arthropods or whatever it may be, right? This is what they do. And because of that, they fill a very different role. You have some animals that are herbivores, right? If you have a llama or a buffalo or a horse, they're just eating all day long. They're eating nutrient-poor food that has a lot of vitamins, a lot of necessary minerals and stuff, but that it's hard to extract energy from a bunch of raw grass. That's why they're never eating. That's why a lot of herbivores have multiple stomachs. Raptors, however, are eating food that translates quite easily into caloric, usable energy. All right, and that is meat. They're eating other animals. But there's a lot of things they don't get. They don't, from the wild, get, they're not eating plants to get certain vitamins or certain needs. You know, you've got what you're eating, what are you drinking, and that's it. And that is why most raptors will eat their prey whole. Whether they swallow it whole or whether they break it off into pieces and eat it. So that's the bones, that's the guts, that's the feathers, that's the fur, which will factor into it too. Even that roughage, you're not getting much nutrients out of fur, right? But that's okay. That's still part of the process, and I'll get into that in a minute. So that's what's happening in the wild. And you have a wide range, right? You have ospreys and bald eagles eating fish. You got some animals eating roadkill. You got some raptors, tiny falconets that are almost exclusively targeting little insects like moths and butterflies, right? You have falcons. Most falcons eat birds. You've got bootios, buzzards that are hunting mice and rats almost exclusively, depending on where they're at. So wherever they're at, there's a range of food that gets eaten in the wild. But all of that they eat from their prey, whatever the prey was eating itself, the guts, the digestive tract of the prey has now been consumed by the predator. And hopefully that the predator's digestive tract can extract those nutrients and those necessary vitamins and minerals. Okay, so we know that, we understand that. What about in captivity? Well, I'm not just going to be, here's what you should do, here's what you should feed your bird, because what are you doing? What time of year is it? What bird do you have? I don't have the answers to all those questions that for you, the viewer, nor do I have time to go through every single bird in every single scenario. So I'll try to argue with principles. So let's say you have a bird, a couple of examples. You got a bird in a zoo. All right, let's say you got a bird that's in rehab, a bird that was injured that came into a rehabber that's being nursed back to health. Or let's say you have a falconry bird that's being trained and hunted. Well, where are we at in that process? Did you fresh trap it from the wild? Is it well along in the training? Is it actively hunting? Or is it summertime and now you're fattening it up for the molt? These are all factors that must be understood. And if I'm honest, as I've gotten to know the falconry community all over the world, good heavens, even my own state and my own country, there's such a diverse range of opinions about what a bird should be fed and what time of year. So, of course, defer to your local expertise and, of course, what's available and even what's legal for that matter. There's a lot of times concerns with potential diseases because you are feeding raw meat of whatever form to your bird. It's not cooked, so you have to consider parasites, disease, that sort of thing also factors in. So in my area, let me tell you a couple things. Let me put it another way too. There's a difference between maintaining a bird, like I'm a bird, I'm just sitting around, I'm happy. Maybe I'm a bald eagle who got a wing shot off and went through rehab and needs a permanent home, so it's got one wing and it's like, hi, I need food. Or are you hunting? Are you flying? Are you exercising very much? No, not really. That's very different than the hunting falconry bird. Think of it in terms of the Olympics. I'm a little overweight myself, okay? I live a somewhat active lifestyle. But if I was like, hey, Ben, we want you to chase down buffalo with a spear. We want you to go, running after and killing kangaroos with a boomerang or something, that some sort of active form of hunting. He'll be like, all right, well, what are we going to do? We're going to change my diet and get rid of the fat, build the muscle, and have nutrient-dense food that will help me keep up the stamina to have this active pursuit hunting lifestyle. Same thing with birds of prey. Think of them as an Olympic athlete. If you're trying to get your bird to just maintain, there's certain foods that are okay. But hey, if you're actually actively hunting them during hunting season and you're building up the exercise, that same maintenance meal maybe isn't good. So as far as what foods, and I'll get into these in a little bit, one of probably in my area the most commonly used food, and again, remember everything, I'm telling you what I do, and there's going to be people, that's the worst food on earth. And somebody else is going to be like, that's the best food on earth. Why would you do anything else? I expect that. I'm just sharing what works. So there is a species of captive bred quail called Coturnix quail. And they are raised kind of like chickens. They're raised for the food industry, both for humans as well as for not just birds of prey, but all kinds of animals, big cats and things like that in zoos. And so there's places that you can purchase frozen quail. You just order them and they arrive frozen. And what I like about them is that they seem to slow a metabolism down and stabilize it. So I should have thought I had my numbers. There's one example that I had with the rental when I first got, but basically, you know what? Pause on the quail. Let me backtrack. Let me get to rodents first. Rodents. A lot of raptors eat rodents, even if it's not their regular food. A lot of will eat mice and rats and voles and gophers, things like that in the wild. And the thing is, rodents in the wild have 1 trillion babies. They're just producing litter after litter after litter to keep up with, because so many of them are going to get eaten by predators, foxes and owls and hawks and badgers and weasels, you name it. And so in order to not go extinct, they have to have a large reproductive schedule with tons of babies being produced multiple times a year. And raptors are one of the animals that answer that call. They're like, all right, well, we're just going to find a field where it's very prolific with a lot of rodents, and I'm just going to hunt. And that works very well. Rodents, my opinion, Ben Woodruff's opinion, rodents are junk food. Not meaning that they are unhealthy, but meaning they go through the system very quickly with most birds. Now, that's good in the wild. Take barn owls, for example. Depending on where you read, it's normally stated that a barn owl will eat about 1,100 mice a year. There's only 365 days in a year. So if one barn owl is having 1,100 mice, and then let's say it's a pair of them, and let's say they have 10 or 15 babies, that's a lot of mice being consumed. But that's a lot of mice for you to buy to maintain a bird. So that's the same thing. When I get a red-tailed hawk from the wild and it's been eating rodents, its metabolism is like, ah! And I switch them to these Coturnix quail. And what I find is for 4 days to 6 days, they're going through tons of food because they've been eating this type of food, and now you're switching them to a different type, and the body's like, I don't know what to do with it. And they actually start to burn calories a little faster. Like, and then their body's like, wait a minute, this is food that is more stable. It's whatever it's got in it, whatever it's the fat content, the nutrient content. Oh, I'm okay. And their metabolism slows down, but more importantly, stabilizes. Okay, so why do I like that? Why does Ben Woodruff like that? And I'm going to get to other foods, but bear with me. Why do I like that? Some people, even in my own state and own country, but definitely in other countries, are a lot more loose about weight control and weight management. It's kind of a relative thing. Not me. I like when it's like, it's hunting season, my bird's hunting. I want precision weight management. I want to know, okay, my bird at this hour tomorrow is going to weigh this many grams, and I will be correct to the gram. Okay? You put your bird on your scale, you weigh them, you calculate how much they've eaten, and that's important. It's very important. When you're doing that, you can have that makes it a lot easier to measure how much fat are they losing, how much muscle mass are they growing, what's their performance like. I find it way easier to do relying on precision rather than urgency. And this isn't a video about weight management and the versus, hunger versus eagerness to hunt versus flight weight versus hunting weight. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying I find it easier to measure all of that stuff with a very stable food source, which is usually I'll do Japanese quail. Now, with all of this, I have to say vitamin supplements people often use. I do as well. There is a vitamin supplement called VitaHawk. I'm not endorsing them as in like a paid advertisement or something, but I do use VitaHawk. I think it works very well. I think it definitely helps, and that is something to consider. There's a lot of places you can buy VitaHawk, but I do recommend it as an additional supplement year-round. Year-round, I use that. So Caturnix quail, I find pretty good. They're fatty. They're good nutritional value. It depends on your breeder. Some of the breeders, I look at the viscera, the lower guts, and I'm like, that smells pretty bad. Like, I don't know, what the care was for this bird. And so sometimes, when in doubt, I don't feed the lower intestines and all that. But normally, what's really nice about this, and by the way, let me know in the comments if you want to see this. I would like to do a video to show the proper way to butcher, to quarter up, to make use of a quail. Like, here's a dead quail, no different than a chicken, okay? And show with game shears, scissors for cutting meat and bone. Where do you cut bone? Because I do. I'll take a quail leg, by the way, a proper sized adult quail, Japanese quail, or Caturnix quail. Japanese is a type of Caturnix, depends on where you buy it from. But that leg is usually about 20 grams, good 20 grams. And so you've got two bones there in that upper leg. You've got the femur, the tibia, and I like to take my game shears and just poke in and go snip, 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 and show where until you hit the knee joint, snip, 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 so that all the bone is in tiny little pieces, because I want the bird to eat that bone. We'll get to bones in a minute too, but my point is there's a lot that's very useful when it comes to quail, and that's needed. That's needed. You need the guts, you need the bones, you need the feathers, you need all of that. But what part of the animal your bird eats will determine a lot when it comes to how much weight they lose or gain or what they do. Is there too much roughage? How much bone is there? Some sections, leg meat is going to be more nutrient dense in some ways than breast meat, according to some, like white meat versus dark meat, that whole idea, right? So that's something that must be considered with weight management. And this is part of the reason why I like the sponsorship program in Falconry in America, where you have a mentor to help you understand those various parts. But I do love Caturnix quail. I think they work good, and they're something I often do. Now, there are cockerels or day-old chicks, baby chickens, that you can buy frozen as well. I will supplement with those, but I usually do not use them during the hunting season, but I like to use them a lot during the molt, during the summertime when I'm not hunting a bird and I'm fattening them up. I'll do it either exclusively or I'll factor that in. It helps the cere around the eyes and the feet yellow up really nice. It's a fairly nutrient dense thing, but it doesn't, for me personally, seem to be a good maintenance food. I'll still throw it in during the hunting season, but this is another factor. You have to decide what you're going to use. Well, hold on just a second. Okay, I have to say too, I know people who only use cockerels, and that's what they do, and they swear by them. I don't. That's my opinion. But very successful falconers who do, even during the hunting season. But one of the things you have to factor in is, are you going to mix it up? Are you going to mix up your food? There is a positive reason to do that, which is, hey, if you're mixing up your food, I'm going to feed this today, then that today, then this today, then that today, you're getting a broader range of certain vitamins and minerals and nutrients that are needed. Great, but that throws the digestive system and makes your weight management all over the place. Personally, that's my opinion. And I want precision during the hunting season. So again, usually I will pick a food source for my bird, use it for the hunting season, supplement it with VitaHawk, and then once I put them up for the molt, all during that molt, then I do mix it up. I give them all different kinds of food. And that's my opinion, and it seems to work. So, also another thing too, when your bird is on the kill, God, this video is already getting long. I thought I could do this in like a 5-minute video. It's already getting long. When your bird's on a kill, are you going to let it eat off of the kill? Is it a species that you have to worry about diseases from? You're going to let him take a few bites? You're going to let him crop up on the meal? Something like a jackrabbit, if you peel back the skin and let him eat part of it. Some people say, I'm going to let him eat the heart and lungs, and then pull them off and trade them off. Depends on your bird, depends on your weight management. Some people catch and then go home and quarter up whatever their bird caught, and that's the food that they're using all season. Some people do that in the molt. They fly their bird, it catches something, you trade off, like if it was me. Okay, you caught a jackrabbit, maybe you get a couple bites, I trade you off for this pre-weighed quail, you jump off, I put the rabbit away, I go home, and I'm going to eat that, and I'm going to quarter up the rest that I don't want and give it to you later during the molt, not during the hunting season. Because again, my opinion is that rabbit goes through most raptors pretty quickly, kind of like a rodent. It just flushes through. But again, you can feed your birds rodents. It's just probably going to be expensive. You can feed your birds rabbits that your birds have caught. And I know falconers, that's what they do. I know a lot of Harris hawkers and a lot of golden eagle hawkers, and that's what they feed their bird off of, which is fine. It's just a different way. People who use cockerels, day-old chicks, and it works well for them, great. I just do it during the molt. As far as small birds, microbirds, a lot of kestrel hawkers, but especially merlin hawkers, a lot of people who are flying and training merlins swear by the need for flying them with, sparrows and starlings. You need to be trapping sparrows, trapping starlings, have them on hand, so you have a fresh, clean supply of food that their bodies are meant for, and you're going to have high performance. I don't do that. With my merlins, I still trap starlings and merlins. I still feed it to them, starlings and sparrows, and feed it to the merlins. But it's more that I do that during the molt. I still almost exclusively feed my merlins quail. I let them eat quail, and it's get very good, strong baseline of weight management with precision. And then during the molt, I mix it up. But I know some of the most respected merlin falconers would scream from the rooftops, "No, that's wrong, and that's the wrong way to do it. Look, you need to do it this way. Always feed them sparrows and starlings and these small bird meat." And they're amazing at what they do. My merlins have always been successful. I've never had a problem getting them to hunt. Never had a problem with stamina or weight management or ability feeding them quail. But again, different opinion. But I want to point out that, hey, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I'm going to replicate this. I know kestrel hawkers who do that too, where they're like, hey, kestrels mostly hunt mice, so I'm going to buy frozen mice and feed it to my kestrel because it's what they're naturally eating. And I understand the logic. But to me, I still just see rodent going right through them very quickly and in a very messy way that's hard to measure with weight management. And so I like to defer to, I even use quail with my kestrels for the most part. So those are a few thoughts on what to do. Now, there are other foods too. There are people who do chicken, like adult chicken thighs. I see that a lot in rehab as well, and I've done that as well at times. It seems that the dark meat is richer, more nutrient dense than breast meat. But for me, doing things like that is an exception to the rule of how you want to fly a bird, where I know other people who swear by it, who are like, no, I've been doing that my whole time and it works great. Maybe adding some Vitahawk, but it seems that that's not enough. Same thing, beef heart. Beef heart can be obtained relatively cheaply. For most of the birds I've ever used it with, it goes through their systems very fast and is not a very nutrient-rich food. Again, if you've had a different experience, respectfully share it in the comments. Love to hear your experiences. What I usually use it for is a supplement, especially on big birds like eagles. I'll cut up strips of beef heart as tidbits, like, I don't know, about like that big. It's weird that would be a tidbit, right? Like the size of a candy bar. And you call them, it's a little snack while you're out flying. With some Vitahawk, it goes a little further. But same thing, if I have a bigger bird, a red-tailed hawk, maybe even a goshawk, but a golden eagle, where it's like, okay, it's cold, and I need him to drop a few grams by the next day, and I don't want to reduce the amount of food. I'm feeding some quail, so I'm like, well, okay, I'm going to reduce the weight, but some of it I'm going to feed with beef heart. And then it's like, okay, some of that kind of went through their system faster, so they dropped a few grams on time the next day without having to deal with the cold. But just remember, when it's cold, a bird is burning through calories faster. When it's hot, they're not burning through it so quickly. So that is a factor too with your food choices. But again, in my area, the primary things you see is people will do, again, quail. They will do rodents. They will do cockerels, the day-old chicks. They'll do beef heart. They'll do chicken thighs. They'll do wild-trapped starlings, wild-trapped sparrows, and pigeon breast meat, which some people are like, hey, this is great. It works wonderfully, which it does. Other people are like, I instantly trade my bird off a pigeon. I won't let them pluck one feather because I'm worried about pigeon disease. It's like, that's fair. And I know people with either good hunting territory or a lot of money who will hunt game bird meat. And it's almost exclusively pheasant and partridge and grouse, which is great. That's high living. I'd be like, I'll eat that bird and I'll give them the quail. But that's it all works. So you have to know what's in your area. And again, there's all kinds of weird things too. Ken McClendon is training ospreys. You should go check out his channel. I've done video on his book even. And he's feeding fish. I haven't trained ospreys, but with bald eagles, it's like, yeah, feeding fish. I still feed them beef, heart, and quail, and I'll only do fish during the summer because for me it's really hard to. I don't know a fish. I don't know where do you weigh or how fast is a trout versus a catfish going to go through the system of an eagle. I still haven't figured that out, so I still like to default to some of these other foods I've been saying, but that's different than an osprey, of course. But again, this is trying to give you an overview of the types of food and a few thoughts. Obviously, there's other things available. Let me know what you have used. Please let me know if you would find it of value to show. Again, the video I want to do showing to how to properly butcher and quarter up a quail, that would be a gory video. And so I'm always mindful that, with YouTube's all weird, you might get your videos removed. But I'm like, how is this different in theory than a chicken? If we're like, hey, I got a cooking show. Here's a chicken. Let me show you how to cut it up. In theory, it's the same way. And one more thing I forgot to mention too, and this is important. Somebody who's checked out of this video earlier is going to rip on this in the comments. Roughage is an important key. Raptors will eat feathers and fur, and when that happens, and same thing with the bones that they don't digest, their body makes a pellet, and they cough up a pellet usually the next day, and that helps keep their system clean and whole and blah, blah, blah. That doesn't mean they don't digest any of that. And bones, I like, this is one of the reasons why I want to show properly butchering, is because cutting bones up, still in whatever, in the wing, like I'll take a full wing and snip, 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 snip. I'm poking in and snipping so that the bones are still in with the meat, but they're in tiny pieces and the marrow is exposed. And the more porous, spongy, hollow honeycomb interior of bone is exposed to the digestive system, and that makes it easier for them to extract calcium out. And so even though some of those bones are still going to be coughed up as a pellet, some of it on the molecular level is going to be extracted and absorbed into the bird system, which is necessary. So that's why I would like to do a video. Tell me if you would like me to make a video showing how to properly butcher a quail. And maybe I can just put a little disclaimer in the front. Hopefully it won't get taken down. But I just think it's a valuable thing that a lot of new falconers don't know about. And I would like to show that. But kind of a strange video topic, but one that's important. I hope you found it valuable. Let me know your questions, comments, your experiences, what you disagree with, what you agree with, and what you do with your birds down in the comments below. And as always, happy hawking.